Alright, so have you ever dated someone and there are all these things you loved about them, but there was so much missing that you wanted? Yeah, my relationship with this one is complicated. This may be one of the only times I love a game when I know I shouldn't. That's right. My name is Starsense and this is Saints Row the Third. Oh yes, this is the one everybody talks about. So after the massive success of Saints Row 2, fans are hungry for more and anxiously awaiting the first trailer. Where could Volition go next? We knew they had to be cooking up something crazy. That doesn't count. Then we got the first taste with a CGI reveal trailer. Oh my god, this game looks insane. That is how you do a reveal. But without gameplay, the only thing we could expect was an incredible sequel. What we knew for sure was this game was going to be huge. But as we came closer to release date, some of the commercials were questionable.
Go say oui on sexy plain saintsrow. Saintsrow!
I mean, that's fine. Saints Row has always had plenty of silliness. I'm sure it's just for marketing and that we're getting another serious story about gang warfare, right? Well, the game released later that year in 2011, and Saints Row 3 was a huge success. But was it what the fans really wanted? Let's get started. Right from the beginning, it's immediately obvious that the tone has shifted. With the cheesy Star Wars spoof and the silly Saints Flow commercial. What the fuck did they do? Yeah, Saints Row 3 takes a much more comedic tone. Instead of the humor being left to the activities, it's now the game's primary focus. After the commercial for Saints Flow, we find ourselves on an elevator about to pull off a Stillwater bank heist with Johnny Gat and Shondi. Okay, now we're talking. Johnny Gat is still as awesome as ever.
You're robbing a bank dressed like yourselves.
Hell yeah. Who doesn't want to be Johnny Gat?
I've gushed about him enough before, and I love him all the same in this game.
What's plan B? Huh? We drill it?
Fuck no. We blow it.
What?
But Shondi, she's different. She's no longer the chill hippie girl, but more of a stuck-up influencer type.
Put in your tampons and let's do this.
I loved SR2 Shondi so much, so I'm sad to see this new take come out of nowhere. Oh, and this dude is Josh Burke. Most people don't like him, but I thought he was kind of funny.
If I'm gonna play a saint with any degree of emotional truth,
I gotta make it real.
He's along for the ride researching his part in an upcoming movie, because the Saints have become celebrities. We're no longer just a street gang, but a giant brand. The crew then starts the robbery, but when the bank tellers begin fighting back, our tutorial begins.
You got a plan or we just shooting all these motherfuckers? That is my plan.
Yeah, like how Saints 2 had a prison break, we're starting off strong with a playable bank heist. Immediately noticeable is a new engine. The movement is more modernized and realistic. We can hardly jump anymore, which sucks, but we get a cool dodge roll. And diving through windows is awesome. The combat has also received a hefty update. There's sick new melee takedowns, but sadly the improvised weapons are gone. On the other hand, the guns are tighter and have a little bit of recoil to them. I also like how the gunfire sound changes when we're almost empty. It feels smooth and is so much fun to play. The weapon variety is a little lacking though, but at least we get a bunch of new destructive contraptions to experiment with. My favorite is the mollusk launcher because the sounds are so silly. There's also powerful temporary weapons, and this. Volition was way too proud of this. So check this out, we can upgrade weapons too. In fact, there's an entire level-based upgrade system. No longer are abilities like infinite sprint from activities, but instead you can purchase them after meeting the level requirement. This is cool and all, but it has one giant flaw. You can't remove your upgrades! Purchase the dual-wield ability but want to go back to just one? Too bad. Purchased infinite ammo, completely negating the usage of ammo shops. Too bad. Purchased literal god mode, removing any challenge the game has. Too fucking bad. I cannot understand why they didn't give players the ability to remove upgrades. Your only chance is using a save editor or reverting to an earlier save. GG. Despite this major flaw, I do really like the new combat. It just feels good. So the Saints quickly find out that this is no ordinary bank. This is a bank run by a criminal organization called the Syndicate. We get caught and thrown in jail. Now that our awesome Johnny Gat mask is taken off, we gotta create our character. The Saints games have been known for their in-depth character customization, and Saints Row 3 is no exception. I love the new look of the boss, from the face to the body model and textures, now with more possibilities. I think the clothing looks good, but the layers and a handful of other features are missing from the last games. We also don't have the best hair options. Tattoos are nice though. Many people prefer the customization of SR2, but I actually like this game's more because the characters and their animations look so good. I can get more immersed into a game when the character really feels like me. Just, you know, way more cool. We also have a good selection of voices, including big stars like Laura Bailey and Troy Baker. I like Laura's work in this game and it suits the new version of the boss, but I really miss the psychopath from SR2. Instead, the boss is much goofier and very sarcastic.
It's like they don't want to invite us in. Shooting them probably doesn't help change their minds.
She's missing some of her backbone. Still somewhat badass, but I found her personality to be a little flat. The SR2 characters felt much more real. Nonetheless, she still has some enjoyable moments.
I don't think she wants to hear the details of your sex life, Shaundi. You sure about that? Though I'll bet we can make some good money off of it.
Now that we've created our new character, we resume the story in jail. The game kind of becomes self-aware at this new tone, as Gat points out.
We traded our dicks in for pussies. Seriously. Movie deals, commercials. Saint's name used to mean something more than body spray and some ass-tasting energy drink.
We meet the DeWinter sisters, Kiki and Viola. These two chicks are tough agents from the Morningstar gang, which is 1/3 of the Syndicate criminal organization we tried to rob. We're brought on a plane to the gang's leader, Philippe Loren. This guy comes across as some sort of mafia crime lord. He's a pretty awesome villain, but it's a shame he's not a bigger part of the game.
Perhaps you wonder why you are still breathing at this point.
I wonder why my foot's not up your ass at this point.
After we're given some terms on par with Marrow's, a fight breaks out and these become our new enemies. Enjoy Johnny Gat's badass moves and hilarious intercom lines because the game immediately takes a downhill turn. Right before we jump out of the plane, which there's no good reason for, this happens.
Johnny, we're about to jump.
Right on. I'll see you in
Johnny?
Seriously, what? This game starts off so good, and then just like that, Gat is supposedly killed off. What the fuck? They practically jolted him before that was even a thing. It's one thing if the character dies for the sake of plot, but within the first hour? What the fuck were they thinking? He's even on the cover. This moment right here is where the game really goes downhill for me. First you changed the boss, then you took away our Shaundi. Gat was all we had left. And now what do we have? Oh, don't tell me.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
To make matters worse, the boss doesn't show any care towards Gat throughout the entire game.
We can't mourn Gat forever.
He's right.
Our bank accounts are drained and we need weapons, so stealing from an armory is the obvious choice. Talk about 0 to 100, but I kinda like that. Pierce makes his grand entrance here.
Oh shit! These hoes ain't hoes!
He's still the same goofball he was in Saints 2, and just as much of a meme.
I bet you'd be into some nasty shit if you tried it.
Stop talking.
Oh my god, you totally would.
Shut up.
We wrap up the prologue by landing a helicopter on our first crib, which is Shaundi's loft, my favorite one. I just love small, cozy apartments. But there's no denying that some of the others are most excellent, like the Saints HQ. Seriously, who didn't enjoy skydiving off of this thing every time they loaded in? Cribs are a bit less interesting than they were, though. We access the menu wherever instead of having immersive interactions. Gang customization returns, but the crib customization is gone. A damn shame, and it's only made worse by having a mix of boring cribs thrown in. Even one of the best cribs gets reused 3 times. It's also frustrating that the unique Stronghold interiors disappear after we take them over. We don't get to access the Syndicate Tower as a crib either. To make matters even worse, we can't replay missions or cutscenes without mods. The crib system is such a huge downgrade from Saints Row 2. Maybe the city will have enough in it to compensate, so let's go outside and check it out. For the first time in the series, we aren't in Stillwater. No, folks, we're far away from home. We have a completely new map called Steelport. This sucks, because this city is bland as hell. The massive amount of districts, stores, interiors, secret areas, unique landmarks, it's all gone. Everything here looks the same. It's all gray and forgettable. The nicest looking places in the game can't even be entered. Oh, and guess what? There's no day-night cycle. Talk about a step backward. We can still purchase stores for income, but we now have a bunch of businesses without interiors. Every business in Saints Row 2 was an actual store. Lame. Graphically though, I love the way this game looks. Even the original SR3, but I'm playing the remastered for this review, which serves as a graphical upgrade. New textures and lighting, even the cast looks different. Vehicles and the boss have received a lot of added visual appeal. Not much else is different, but we're missing some of the cool skyboxes. There's also some bug fixes from the OG, but plenty of new bugs to replace them. There was a frame rate cap that I had to fix too. On top of that, the remastered version has less mods available. Either version will do the job just fine, but I prefer the remastered for the extra flair. Regardless, it's a great looking game. I've always found that the aesthetic provides a warmth and coziness, which helps the bland world design feel more lively. The NPCs don't help much with that though. They can still be wacky at times, but they're nowhere near as random or interesting as the ones from Stillwater. There are moments of craziness, especially when using mods, but nothing like what we had. With Saints 2, you can load up the game and experience something completely unique each time. That's not the case here. Even the interiors lack NPCs and it no longer feels like this big living city. Fighting the gangs is still a ton of fun though, and there's these big mini-boss type enemies that spawn in. The notoriety system returns as well. It's mostly the same, except Forgive and Forget has been removed. Instead, we wipe notoriety by going into one of our own buildings. This is a change I like because it means I can stop the fights when I want to. All in all, Steelport may not be an interesting map, but I really do enjoy spending time in it. It's relaxing to drive around a rainy city listening to some K-12. Oh yeah, the music. One thing I really like about Saints Row 3 is the original music. The mission tracks, fanfares, store tunes. Damn, these composers did an awesome job. As for the radio, it's pretty good, though the commercials lack the uniqueness from Saints 2. K-12 is probably my favorite this time around due to the chill electronic tracks. It's also annoying that I have to double tap the exit key to keep my music playing in the vehicle. Other than that, the vehicles are fantastic. They've been heavily upgraded from Saints 2. No more stiff controls, instead they're very fluid. We can slide around, stop on a dime, and there's a fun drifting mechanic now. The customization is great too, even if it's missing a couple features. Man, do these cars look superb! The air vehicles are really fun too, even if a little nauseating. You know what I really appreciate? The 3D GPS. Why can't games do this? It's so nice being able to drive to your destination without staring at a minimap. With how enjoyable the vehicles are, I can't wait to try out the races or the crazy taxi diversion from SR2. Oh wait, they're gone. Most of the creative diversions from Saints 2 have not made it over. We still have a few left, like streaking, hostage, and downgraded store robberies, but the most creative ones are missing. No more jobs like being a firefighter. We can't gamble in the casino. Sure, we have some new stuff like these gang takeovers and collecting sex dolls, but they don't provide anything for replayability. There aren't even secrets or Easter eggs anymore. This is a huge disappointment because those are the things that kept me booting up Saints Row 2. It's a shame they didn't fill up the world with more content. No, it's clear that Saints Row 3's main focus is the missions. So let's pick up where the prologue left us. Wait, this isn't the story. Why did it put me into an activity? Yeah, so the respect bar from Saints 2 is gone. In its place, we're forced to play activities during the main storyline. This is a poor attempt to pad out the game. The worst part is when the game gives you 3 arcs to complete. It's like 12 activities in total. This wouldn't be so bad if they were actually fun, but I found them to be a chore. All the best ones from Saints Row 2, such as Crowd Control and Fight Club, are gone. Insurance Fraud and Mayhem are okay, but the only ones I was crazy about were Professor Genki's. The base game has one variant and the DLC adds a few more. They're all wacky and a really good time. Oh yeah, A couple activities have extra gameplay mechanics in co-op, such as trailblazing where the second player throws Molotov cocktails, and escort where you can do people. It brings back the hoeing minigame from Saints 2. Apart from that, co-op is playable from start to finish like all the other Saints games. Still the best way to play. Now with the activities out of the way, we can continue the actual story missions. The missions are very action-packed and over the top. My favorites are probably the tutorial bank heist and none other than the helicopter jump to the penthouse. Murdering the goons while Kanye's power blares is what Saints Row is all about. Everyone remembers this mission because it's the definition of badass. There are some really bad ones though. The worst in the game is the zombie mission. They're extremely fast and come in giant spawns while stun locking and setting you on fire. It's tedious. There's also some fun missions hurt by bad mechanics, such as the constant screen movement or the Decker's lag. But most of them are fun, and we also get choices when completing mission arcs, which is a neat addition. Some even change the story a bit, but the hell is this mission? It's a wrestling match that not only brings back the improvised weapon mechanic, but also bears a striking resemblance to Saints Row 2's Fight Club. Why would they go to this effort and not add the mechanic or the activity to the rest of the game? It makes no sense. It's clear development cared much more about the story than anything else. So let's talk about that. Picking up from earlier, Pierce shows us around town and gives us a goofy sing-along right after talking about our dead best friend.
Shondi's taking this thing with Gat pretty hard.
I'm not exactly happy either.
I can still get high,
you know it.
Gat's death was handled very poorly, but it gave us determination towards our new goal, eliminating Philippe Loren of the Morning Star. To kick things off, we steal a penthouse from them and learn that the Syndicate organization includes two other gangs. The Deckers, who are these cyber gods with a bunch of neon-lit colors. This group is run by Matt Miller, who is an obnoxious, geeky kid.
That punk kid is the cyber god who just crashed your helicopter. Cheers!
Then there's the Luchadors, who are tough wrestlers. Killbane is in charge of them, and he's just a stereotypical tough guy that doesn't like being called by his name.
Calm down, Eddie.
What did you call me?
With the exception of Philippe Loren, these gang leaders don't hold a candle to the old ones. It's worsened by the fact that they work together. Instead of 3 unique storylines, we have 1. The first chapter of the game kicks off with a serious tone and is quite enjoyable, but it doesn't last long before going off the rails. In our quest to find Philippe, we meet Oleg. He's a big boy that the Syndicate have been cloning to create mutants. I like this humor.
We're gonna have to do something about the pink.
You'd prefer a more manly shade, like purple?
Spoilers from here on out, as this storyline will make it difficult to avoid. We kill Philippe in the most unsatisfying way by dropping this big ball thing on his head. He was such a cool villain, so it's a shame he's already dead. We're attacked by the Luchadors during the ceremony for Newbridge, and also Gat's funeral? I don't know. The game doesn't explain much here due to messy writing. With Philippe gone, our goal is to eradicate the entirety of the Syndicate. We begin recruiting our lieutenants for help. First up is Kinsey. She's a former FBI agent that got on the Decker's bad side. She has a real bratty attitude, and I've never been her greatest fan.
You should be more careful. I saw you coming 2 blocks ago. Traffic cameras. They're everywhere in this town.
Good to know.
Next is Zemos, who the De Winter sisters locked up due to him being a competitor at running the prostitution market. He talks in autotune and makes awful jokes, which is impossible to take serious.
I'm gonna auction you off as a sex slave.
Fuck that.
Oh, quit being a bitch and get in the van.
Finally, we help Angel from a Luchador's attack. He's an ex-member and former wrestler who has beef with Killbane.
Losing his mask is the ultimate shame. I need to earn it.
Alright, how do we do that?
We hurt a lot of people.
Similar to previous games, each lieutenant is here to help us take down a gang. Kinsey on the Deckers, Zemos on the Morning Star, and Angel the Luchadors.
The Syndicate has to answer for what they did. It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
Meanwhile, the Syndicate's new leader becomes Killbane. I really dislike this guy as a villain, and it's a shame he becomes the main enemy. He launches a failed attack on our crib, and we take over Safe Word, the Morning Star's club. After that, Killbane murders Kiki for calling him Eddie.
How about you, Eddie?
Killbane!
Little bit of an overreaction, don't you think? Her death pushes Viola to join the Saints. I actually like her character, because she has an energy that matches the boss's.
We never really had the chance to chat. What with you being a science experiment?
To help us fight the Deckers, we recover a supercomputer and a Nemo chair that allow us to infiltrate the Deckers' cyber realm. We defeat Matt Miller through a digital battle and spare his life in exchange for him granting the Saints any company of our choosing.
Tell me the name of a company and it becomes the property of the Saints!
Before we take out the last gang, we go after Stag. They're deployed into Steelport as an anti-gang military group. We're introduced to Cyrus Temple. He's a boring prick.
When we win the war on urban terror, you and your families will be safe again.
Then there's Kia, who is a high-ranking officer. Josh Burke returns from the tutorial as Nightblade, which is a show about a vampire hunter. Being Stag's mascot, we kidnap him to draw them out. In return, they kidnap Shandi, so we get radical plastic surgery to look like Cyrus. This makes even less sense if you play a female character.
I look just like Cyrus, all I gotta add is a fucked attitude.
Sure you do, honey. We free our girl and blow up their ship. Then we attack a stag plane and accidentally release radioactive waste that causes a zombie outbreak. The mayor, Burt Reynolds, asks us to clear them out. Okay, I just can't breeze past this. How did we go from a gangster game to zombies? My goodness. I get that they wanted a lighter tone, but this is overkill. Whatever. Now on to the luchadors. We take over Kilbane's casino and retrieve Angel's stolen mask. Then we're off to fight him at Murder Brawl, which is a deadly wrestling tournament. Our aim is to pull his mask off, humiliating him.
It's shades of Angel.
I'd rather just shoot the motherfucker, but alright. In our final act, Kia from Stag plants bombs on a Steelport statue with Shandi and Viola tied up on top. Her goal is to frame us as terrorists. I mean, we basically are, so we're given the choice of saving our friends or taking out Kilbane. Should we go the route of murdering Kilbane, which is reduced to a QTE, we're given a very unsatisfying conclusion.
Kill that son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
The landmark explosion causes Stag to go full force, so we fly up to the Daedalus, their airbase. We blow it up and kill Cyrus in a horrendous final boss fight. He just flies around in a circle. We don't even see the character again. After that, we go on the air to announce that Steelport is our city and begin campaigning to run for mayor. At least the last cutscene concludes nicely and has the whole "this is our city" vibe that SR2 had.
Come at my city again, and you'll go home in a fucking box.
However, this isn't the canon ending. No, that would be us saving Shandi and Viola. Because we saved the monument, we're deemed as heroes in the city of Steelport. Stag are then forced to back off. So, both Kilbane and Cyrus live. That's shit. Then we're off to the Gangsters in Space set, which is a Saints movie based on a comic book. It also sucks. And that's pretty much it. We have a couple DLC storylines to play through. One is more Gangsters in Space crap, and the other is about a nerd creating a Johnny Gat clone mutant. I guess it's worth it for this?
Before I got this paper, before I got paid, you know!
Oh gosh. And the superpowers are cool, as like a precursor to SR4. All in all, the story in this game is poor. The writing is all over the place and they tried too hard to force in humor. The parts of the game with a serious tone were good, but they don't last. Instead, it's a strange mixed bag that never feels creative or clever. There's no character development either. The game does have some cool characters, but there's so many that we get little time with each. We're left with a lot to be desired. It's a fun game to play through, but don't expect a captivating story. The best way to summarize Saints Row the Third: it's a great game if you haven't played Saints Row 2, but if you have, it can be disappointing. There's so much done right here, and the game can be a lot of fun, but for every step forward, there's another step backward. Now don't get me wrong, I really do love this game. I have replayed it countless times, but it's just not the masterpiece that Saints Row 2 is. That's where my heart lies. But I'll always appreciate SR3. It was my first Saints Row game, and I fell in love with it. I was captivated by this immersive open world. It may not be the city that Stillwater is, but I always feel at home in it. And that's why, despite all the issues, I'm a big fan of this one too. Alright, that's it for me, guys. Do all the stuffs if you want to help me out, and I have a Patreon with exclusive videos if you want to take it a step further. Or you can join my channel. I also reviewed a couple other Saints games if you haven't seen them. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Love y'all. Peace out.